The other day on Twitter, I noticed that The Sopranos is trending alongside She-Hulk. Now, I don't give a fuck about She-Hulk, or regular Hulk, or Marvel, or any of the superhero stuff, but The Sopranos is my favorite show of all time, so I was interested in seeing what this trend was all about. As I was scrolling through the trend, I saw a lot of posts made by angry people expressing their distaste for an episode of She-Hulk, spoiling some pretty major character deaths in The Sopranos. And what do I think about this? I don't really care all that much. The Sopranos began in 1999 and ended in 2007. The finale aired over 15 years ago at this point. I say the expiration date for holding off on talking or referencing spoilers of this show was a long time ago. All of the people watching She-Hulk had plenty of time to see this series that ended a long time ago. And you may be saying, well, I'd imagine She-Hulk's core demographic were too young to watch The Sopranos back when it was airing, so therefore they may be getting into the series now. Perhaps they were watching The Sopranos alongside She-Hulk, and then they got those major character deaths spoiled for them thanks to She-Hulk. And that is entirely true. I know a lot of young people are getting into this show because they couldn't watch it back when it was airing, and I'm one of those people. I was 6 years old when the show ended, and I remember my mom and dad shooing me out of the room every time an episode would start. But I think once a show reaches a certain age, I think it is okay for pop culture to be given free reign to reference spoilers of said show. Because at that point, the show is old. I'm willing to bet most people who love TV have already seen The Sopranos at this point, and if you haven't, what the fuck is wrong with you? It would be entirely different if She-Hulk referenced spoilers from, say, Better Call Saul, a show that just ended, a show that many people are still watching and catching up on, and I'm willing to bet with all the buzz surrounding the final season, there are a lot of people out there who waited for the season to end and are now just starting to watch Better Call Saul. But in The Sopranos' case, we are 5 years away from the finale turning 20. I say that's a risk you just have to accept when watching a show as old as The Sopranos. People are going to reference spoilers, or discuss spoilers, without much regard for people who haven't already seen the show, because at this point the show is so iconic and so old that people just naturally assume that most people have already seen the show. But it especially annoys me when I go into, say, a subreddit surrounding a certain show, or a video game, and fans are discussing spoilers, and then someone comes in and says, hey, you fucking spoiled this for me, fuck you. Like, what the fuck did you expect? You entered a community centered around a specific TV show, or video game, etc. No shit, fans are going to discuss spoilers. I first watched the show back in 2017. At that point, it was 10 years since the finale aired. I had one major death spoiled for me, and that was entirely my fault because while I was watching the show for the first time, I wanted to rewatch some clips on YouTube. And unfortunately, I didn't learn my lesson when I was first watching Breaking Bad because the same thing happened to me when I was watching that show for the first time. It just comes with the territory. If you search up a show online, or enter an online community centered around a specific show, you run a major risk of running into spoilers. And that is entirely your fault. Why should other fans' discussions about a show they love, that they probably saw years before you did, be ruined just because they may run the risk of spoiling the show for you? I already knew how The Sopranos would end years before I finally watched the show, because Everybody Hates Chris's final scene did a parody of The Sopranos' final scene. I was so confused watching that final scene of Everybody Hates Chris, and I remember searching it up, wondering what the fuck was that all about, and then I found out it was a parody of The Sopranos' final scene. And where was the outrage surrounding that? That aired way closer to The Sopranos' finale, like what, a year or two after it ended? I'm sorry, but pop culture is always going to reference other pop culture, and that includes referencing spoilers. Does She-Hulk referencing Sopranos spoilers show a complete disregard for people who are watching She-Hulk, who may have also been in the middle of watching The Sopranos? Yes. But you have to remember, it is a 23-year-old show, and is one of the most iconic shows of all time, and is hailed as one of the greatest shows of all time. So no shit, other shows and movies are going to reference this show. Again, when you're watching a show this old for the first time, potentially running into spoilers of said show is a risk that you just have to accept. You can't stop other people from talking about it just because you are watching it for the first time. Steer clear of any discourse surrounding a show that you're currently in the middle of watching for the first time. And also do what I do, just watch one show at a time. I like giving my full attention to one show at a time, and part of the reason why I do that is to avoid what happened to She-Hulk viewers. I don't want to watch one show and then another show at the same time, and one show references spoilers of the other show that I'm currently watching. I think that's a pretty simple solution personally, but whatever. Do what you want to do. Maybe bitching on Twitter is preferable to you. So yeah, She-Hulk spoiled some pretty major deaths in The Sopranos. Oh well, what are you gonna do? If you haven't watched The Sopranos already, do yourself a favor and fucking watch it. Again, it is my favorite show of all time. I cannot recommend it enough, especially if you like stuff like Breaking Bad. And also, rest in peace, Tony Sirico. That was a major blow to me when he died. But anyways, I veered away from what the main topic of this video is about, so good place to end it. That's all I have to say. Bye-bye.